Vasudeva sutam devam kamsa chanuramardhanam devaki paramanandam krishnam vande jagadgurum. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we are studying the 9th chapter. And in the 9th chapter, we were on the 22nd verse. That's right? Let me chant that again. Ananyāścintayanto māmeva ye janāḥ paryupāsate teṣāṃ nityābhiyuktānāṃ yogakṣemaṃ vahāmyaham. So this is the 22nd verse of the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And here Krishna is saying, those persons who think of nothing else but worship me through meditation, the accession to and maintenance of the welfare of such ever devout persons I look after. All right. We had already started discussing this last time. Here Krishna is saying, the last part is remarkable. Yogakṣemaṃ vahāmyaham. I mentioned it last time. It says whatever, the two words, yoga and kshema, technical words. Yoga has so many meanings. Here yoga just means the literal meaning of bringing together. Yoga is bringing together. So bringing together means what? What we do not yet have and what we would like to have in the world. And so getting what we do not have. And kshema is protecting what we already have. These are the two things people are doing all their lives. You look outside in the city, that's what people are doing. Keeping the, whether it's money or health or property or reputation or relationships, trying to keep what we value, we are trying to keep that. And what we don't yet have in these dimensions, we try to acquire from the world. And that's what people are busy in all their lives. And Krishna here is saying, devotees who focus on me entirely, the question might be, if I focus entirely on God, then what about the rest of my life? I have to hold a job and I'm not a monk. I have a family to take care of, maybe property, a house, investments, my own health and all, insurance, whatnot. So what about that? And Krishna is saying, I'll take care of it for you. Really? No, you will keep doing whatever you're doing, but you don't have to worry about that. Lay the burden of your worries, your anxieties upon God. God will take care of it, provided there's a condition. So that it's not that I become lazy, All right, so God's going to take care of it. I'm going to relax. Do what? Nothing. There's a new term called the soft life. People want, this is a new term called soft life. People want the soft life. Soft life is, taking it easy, everything is taken care of. But then, it's not exactly, Krishna is not recommending the soft life. He says, all your time and energy, focus it in sadhana as much as possible. Make God your goal. God realization, the goal of life, the purpose of life. If you have a job, you'll still be holding a job. If you come to an ashram and run away from the job and then come to an ashram, they'll put you to work. Trust me, I know. They'll put you to work. They'll keep you busy. So there is, and it's good to work. Ma Sharada here, she used to say that in Bengali, Kaj Lokhi, work is Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity. So work is Lakshmi. It keeps your mind and body, fit. It keeps your mind balanced and body fit. Engage in work. But all the anxieties you put upon, Krishna says, give it to me. I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. And he said, vahāmyaham, I will carry it for you, whatever you need. And that cute story I told you last time about the great Pandit who was writing a Sanskrit commentary on the Gita. Actually, he was writing it on the whole Mahabharata. So when he came to the Gita and this verse in the Gita, God says, I will bear for my devotees, for those who love me, I shall bear for them, I shall carry for them what they need. He said, God is going to carry. That's against the glory of God. God will grant. God is glorious. So God gives us what we need, not carry. So he cut it out in the book. Instead of vahāmyaham, vaham means to carry. Dadamyaham. Dadam means to grant. In Sanskrit, he cut it out and put. And then we know the story of how that Pandit's wife, she saw this little boy who came with carrying food for their table. They had no food. And but he had a red, like somebody had caned him, and a red stripe across his back. And he said, your husband has done this. And then the boy disappeared. Of course, it was God. And the wife asks the husband, why did you beat that little boy? How cruel. He said, I didn't do it. Then he realized that pen that I'd scratched out. In those days, they had quills. So I had scratched out that word. So that is my offense. Now, God does bear. For those who love God, God loves you even more, and God takes care of us. However, there is something to be understood here. I mentioned it last time. What we need, God will give us, and what we have, God will protect. So is God going to make us foolproof against the movements of the market? You know, someone short sells you, and then your shares are protected against it. Will God do that if you worship Krishna a lot? Will He protect you against the ups and downs of Wall Street? No. Will Krishna give you what we need? What you need? Will Krishna does He look through your Christmas list like Santa Claus and bring you what you wanted? Again, no. Then what does He mean? He'll give us what we need and protect what we have. Whatever is good for my God realization, for my spiritual realization, whatever is good for my spiritual life, He'll give. You need food, clothing, shelter. You need protection and a modicum of health and wellness till you attain God realization, or you had advanced far enough in spiritual life. God will take care of it. You need protection from the elements, protection from that which will trouble you in spiritual life. God will take care of it. But He will not give you things. If we want so many things in this life, He will protect you from yourself. Vivekananda says, do not desire anything. Why? He says, do not desire anything. Hyphen. Then he adds, because you will get it. We think we will not get it, and that's why we shouldn't desire. No, you will get it, and that's trouble. Often you get something. We have seen this. And we realize years and years ago we might have wanted this. Now we don't want it at all. It's bothered now. We get it. Again, trouble. Problems in life. Who knows what is good for us in spiritual life? A little bit of maybe a troublesome person in our lives, or a little bit of maybe even physical illness. Is it bad? No, not really. Not really. It might be actually helpful in spiritual life. Depends on the person, where they are. So in that sense, God will take care of us. So God will help us to attain God. Krishna will help us to attain Krishna. But what's the condition? He says, nityābhiyuktānāṃ, those who are constantly engaged, who are constantly engaged in God, with God. Through meditation, prayer, study, service, worship, music, kirtan, whatever it is. They're constantly engaged. These persons, they see everything in this world as God. God alone appears as all of the living and non-living things in this world. Nothing here is apart from my beloved Lord, my Ishta Devata, whichever form, Krishna here, but whichever way you understand God. Nothing in this universe. God is immanent in this universe, in and through all beings, living and non-living. God is there. I am in the presence of God. One Vedanta teacher put it very beautifully. God in Vedanta. He says, if God is out there, it's an incomplete God, a partial God. If God is only within me, God is within me. People say, it's cool to say it. God is within all of us. God is within me. Incomplete God, partial God. God is not here in heaven only. Incomplete God, a partial God. God is only in deep meditation, not with my eyes open. Incomplete God, partial God. God is only when I become enlightened, then God is. Or God is only after death, when I go to heaven, then God is. Incomplete God, partial God. God, something that is limited in time, in space, or by object. In Sanskrit, desha kala vastu parichinna. Limited by time, space, and object. But limited by time, we understand that then, not now. That's limitation in time. Limited by space, we understand. There, not here. Limited by object. Objects means entities. So that one is God. But not all this. God is unlimited. All the time, everywhere, and in everything, in and through everything. And when nothing is there, then also God is. In fact, then only God is. So that is the complete God, not partial. It is a complete God, Purna. He says, in everything this devotee sees God, and in all the activities which are going on in this world, the work that we do and other people are doing, the play and entertainment and enjoyment that what we do for others, the job that you are holding, and of course the rituals that you do in your shrine and in the temple, all of this work is the Leela of God, the play of God. All entities are God and all activities are the play of God. So this person is immersed in God. And a very ancient verse, I was referring to it in some class yesterday or day before yesterday, where it says, the person in samsara is so unfortunate, the ignorant one, the one who is not realized, enlightened, so unfortunate, they are people, they are beings immersed in the ocean of nectar, and they don't know it. And they are looking to the waters of a mirage to quench their thirst. I'll repeat that. Immersed in the ocean of nectar. What does that mean? We are immersed in God. We are immersed in existence, consciousness, bliss. All the time. Inside, outside, everywhere, all the time. It is one divinity alone. Always continuously radiant and shining forth. We don't see it. We don't see it at all. And what do? We are looking at the waters of a mirage to quench our thirst. What is this mirage? Samsara. What is the waters of samsara? The chasing pleasure, avoiding pain, accumulation of wealth, satisfaction of sensuous desires. This is the water of this mirage, which we expect. If I pursue it, it will fulfill me. Somehow it will quench my thirst. It never does. It never does. So such devotees, they recognize that they are forever immersed in God and they're connected with God. How? There are three things. Ananyāścintayanto ye janāḥ paryupāsate, ye janāḥ, those literally people. So there are many such devotees. What do? First of all, ananya, three things. Ananyāścintayanta upāsate. Ananya means not anything else. That means turning away from the world. Na anya. Anya means other than God. Other. Ananya, not other. Turning away from the world, from people, from activities, from pursuits. Not literally turning your face away. That's rude. What are you doing? I'm turning away from you towards God. No. Turning away from the world means not seeing the world as world. Seeing the divinity in all beings, in all activities. So turning away from the worldliness. After all, when I say God is everywhere and in everything, that means this world here itself. So if you turn away from this, where will you turn? So turn away means look not upon this world as samsara. See God, the same divinity by whom you worship, the beloved, in all beings. That is ananya. So turning away from the world, from the other, from the mirage, turn away from that. Then chintayanta. Chinta literally means thinking of. So the second thing is, once you have turned away from the world, what have you turned towards? You have turned towards God. So your deity, repeating the mantra of your deity, prayer to your Ishta Devata, outpouring of love, singing the names of God, reading about God and the saints and the spiritual people, chanting mantras. There's so many ways. Devotional music, service to all beings. So service will come later. Chintayanta means dwelling on God, talking about God. Don't be a bore. So talking about God, reading about God, meditating upon God, in whichever form our practices. And then the third one is paryupāsate. So here service comes in. So our activities should be the service of the Lord. So to worship the Lord through our actions. So these three things: turn away from worldliness, dwell on God in your mind, heart, and in your activities, worship the Lord through seva. Paryupāsate is seva. Now this worship, the seva means service. It can be ritualistic and it can be actual service to humanity, the seeing divinity in them. It could be worship also. You do ritualistic worship in your shrine, in the temple. That's also paryupāsate. And you go out there and do something for people. Or, any sentient being. It could be animals also, plants also. When you do something for them. It could be you going to a soup kitchen and feeding the hungry and the homeless. Or it could be just yourself, you're cooking and setting out the table for people in your family and feeding them. For you, it's the same divinity everywhere. And that's your offering. Or yourself. When you're feeding yourself, that's also an offering. There's God present as the fire of hunger in the tummy. And I'm pouring, like the imageries of a Vedic fire sacrifice. The fire is lit and the priests pour oblations. So I'm pouring oblations in there. Some kind of visualization which connects my activities to God. All the activities that we do, as long as they are not outright immoral, unethical, everything can be done or connected with God. So that's paryupāsate. These three are the explanation of the word nityābhiyuktānāṃ. Nityābhiyukta means constantly connected with God. How? In three ways. One, ananya, turning away from God, nothing other than God. That's one. Two, chintayanta, dwelling on God. Think, pray, japa, repeat the mantra, meditate, study, whatever it is. The mind and the heart are on God. That's second. Third, action. Paryupāsate, my service to God. Into the Sanskrit word bhakti. We always say bhakti means love of God, devotion, loving God. But the etymological meaning of bhakti, the root, grammatically, it comes from bhaj sevāyam, to serve. So it's not just a nice feeling about God. We have a warm feeling about God. No, actually to do something. It should be translated into action. And I remember this because this is, I heard 16, 17 years ago in the Himalayas, studying under a monk there in Gangotri. And he was teaching us quite a non-bhakti text, that is Bhagavad Gita, the most radical non-dual text. So this sadhu, he has passed away now, Lakshman Das ji. He was a traditional sadhu, Punjabi. So he had come from what is now Pakistan. After the partition of the country, he came straight from there and crossed all over North India, went straight to the Himalayas, and he stayed there the rest of his life. Now he said, when I was under a guru and I was a young monk, now it was my habit to go around and looking for the old monks and see what I could do for them. Who wanted a comforter, in Hindi they say rajai, that's a thick, like a blanket. Or who wanted a cup of milk, who wanted medicine, so whatever I could give or help them. So I'd go around to the huts and the caves, and my guru scolded me once. He said, do some spiritual practice. You're just, being a busybody. In Hindi, he said, Lakshman Das, kabhi thoda bhajan bhi kar liya karo. Do some bhajan sometimes. But just bhajan means devotional practices. You're just going around. And then he told us, he said, that saddened me. I thought, am I wasting my time? And then when in the Sanskrit class, we learned bhaj sevāyam, the word bhakti, bhajan, it comes from to serve. And my heart was gladdened that I'm doing the right thing. This is bhajan also. This is spiritual practice. So yes, to serve God in all these ways. For such people, Krishna says, I take care of them. I take care of them. If you, my Lord, are in all the gods which are worshipped in the Vedic sacrifices. So you remember the ancient Vedic religion, fire sacrifices, and they were deities, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, and all of them. So Arjuna is thinking that if you are in all of them indeed, then why is it that those who are worshipping them through Vedic fire sacrifices, so why don't they attain moksha, enlightenment? You're saying that those who attain, to those who worship you will attain freedom, moksha, enlightenment. Why don't they? You said that they, if they worship like that, they will go to heaven. You remember the last time we studied? They will go to heaven and stay in heaven for a long time and again will be reborn and they will keep coming and going in the samsara. But why? Because you said you are them also. You are everywhere. So those gods said you are also those gods. And people are worshipping those gods. Those religious rituals people are doing with faith, with real devotion, sincerely. And they are good people. So why don't they attain enlightenment? Why doesn't everybody who is religious in some way attain enlightenment? Why only people who are focused on God with a capital G, with you, on you? So answer, 23rd verse. You can repeat after me if you like. Ye.apyanyadevatābhaktā, ye.apyanyadevatābhaktā, yajante śraddhayānvitāḥ, yajante śraddhayānvitāḥ, te.api māmeva kaunteya, te.api māmeva kaunteya, yajantyavidhipūrvakam, yajantyavidhipūrvakam. Even those devotees of other gods who worship them endowed with faith, worship me alone, O son of Kunti, though in an unauthorized way. Now what's this? So this is an answer to the possible question that, so all religious people, basically, if I make a general question, if you leave the Vedic thing out of the equation, generally, a lot of people go to temples, churches, mosques, a lot of people are religious in some way. So why doesn't everybody become enlightened? And Krishna's answer is, there's something to be understood. Religious is not equal to spiritual. Religious is not equal to spiritual. What is it that we want? There is one way of being religious, the mass religion, the conventional religion, where my belief in God is to make my life better, easier. I want certain things to turn out the way I want them to. I want to win the lottery. I want people to treat me nicely. I want my diseases to be cured or to be safe in this world. And God will do all that for me. A lot of people believe that and they have faith. And there's nothing wrong in that. But Krishna is here making the distinction. Yes, all those prayers, they will come to me also. But notice what they are praying for. They will get what they are praying for. In the Bible, again and again, Jesus Christ says, they have their reward. Those who pray, for example, he says, in an ostentatious way, showing, you pray in secret. And your Father who is in heaven and who sees in secret will reward you. And they who pray in the street corners with much words, they have their reward. Which is what means you get what you want when you go to God. They have not come to God for enlightenment, God realization, moksha, nirvana, salvation. No. They have come to God for money, for worldly happiness, for curing diseases, success in business, whatever it, or politics, big one, politics. Two kinds of people turn up regularly in temples in India. One is students before examinations and politicians before elections. So yes, and they want it. They want success in the world. And Krishna says they will get success in the world. I'm not saying it doesn't work, it's superstition. No. They will get. Is it guaranteed? Not guaranteed. There are many factors involved. There is, one's past karma is involved there. So if everything is according to karma, why should I pray to God at all? No, that praying to God also does change my karma. So even a person who's worldly, who wants things in the world to turn out the way they want it to be, there is a point to praying. It's not just, it's all coming from my past karma, so I won't do anything. God will give me what's coming to me anyway. No, if I want something more and I pray for it, it does make a difference. But it's still worldly. It will keep me trapped in this world. Where do I get all this? So the commentators make it clear. This commentator, Sridhar Swami, he explains, avidhipūrvakam, not in an authorized way. So here the technical term is vidhi. Vidhi means the injunctions of the Vedas. In Karma Kanda, there are do's and don'ts. Vidhi nisheda. Do this. Do these rituals if you want to go to heaven or all these things. Do not do these immoral activities. So this is given. These are the vidhi nisheda. Vidhi, do's. Nisheda, don'ts. Injunctions and prohibitions. Now the people who follow the Vedic religion, they might criticize the devotees of Krishna. That look, we are the guys who are following the injunctions of the Vedas. The Vedas tell us to do these sacrifices, and we are doing it. You are the one who's not doing it. You are, chanting the name of Krishna and dancing around. So you are not following the vidhi, the injunctions of the Vedas. Krishna is saying, no, there's something to be understood here. Those who follow those injunctions, they are not looking for moksha. They are not looking for liberation. They are not looking for God. They are looking for what? The world. So, avidhipūrvakam, this commentator explains. Avidhipūrvakam means moksha prapakam vidhim vina. Without the desire to attain moksha. Without the desire for God. Without the desire for liberation. Without that desire, they are worshipping. They have other desires which makes them worship God. So they get that. That's why by worshipping all these other rituals and pujas, even though I, the Lord, one Ishvara, Bhagavan, the one God, is everywhere, but they will get what they want, not me. One sadhu put it very nicely. He said, in every human being, there are these three rivers, these three streams running all the time. Gyāndhara, Karmadhara, Bhavadhara. Gyāndhara means the stream of knowledge. What we know, what we have learned, what we know, what we understand. Science and art and spirituality and religion and philosophy and all. That's what we know. That's what I understand. And then Karmadhara, what I do in life. What's my job, my daily life. How am I spending my time? What am I doing in life? Karmadhara, the stream of action. But third, Bhavadhara. This Bhavadhara is, how do I translate? Bhava is an inner disposition, inner attitude. What I truly want deep inside. Based on my past samskaras, what is it that motivates me? What do I want deeply? That is most important. And Sadhu, he said to a devotee who had come, very beautifully, he said, I'll tell you in Hindi and translate. आप क्या करते हो, क्या जानते हो, इसमें हमको कोई दिलचस्पी नहीं. आपका भाव क्या है बताओ. What you do, like what's your job and what you do. What do you know, what have you learned, what books have you read. I have no interest in knowing these things. But what do you want from inside? What is it that you really want? Tell me that. Bhav kya hai? How do I know what I really want? It's interesting. It requires a study of the mind. What really pleases me and makes me happy, honestly, inside? Again, a sadhu put it nicely. Kutta kiske liye poonch hilata hai? For whom does the dog wag its tail? Whom does the dog wag its tail? Whom it likes, So the dog wags its tail for. He says, does it wag the tail for? Does the dog wag the tail for? In Hindi, he said, colloquial Hindi, Seth ji ke liye, Pandit ke liye, Sadhu ke liye. For whom does it wag the tail? Is it wagging the tail when it sees a rich man, a powerful person, a scholarly person, a talented person, or a spiritual person? So what attracts our mind? What honestly makes me happy? Often what happens in spiritual life is we think, this is good for me. I'm convinced, so I'm doing it. It's good for you, but is it nice for you? You might ask, but suppose it isn't nice for me. I don't feel particularly happy, but I'm still doing it because I know it's good for me. What will happen? You'll still get the result of it, but it'll take a little longer. It'll be mechanical and hard going for a while until you begin to like it. Once you like it, you have no more fear. Once one likes it, there's no more fear. Sri Ramakrishna put it this way. He used to live near the river, the Ganga. The river would be flowing in a current. And you would see these fishermen who would go out on their little boats. So when they set out from the river bank to the river, inside the river, they would have to row mightily with their bamboo poles, work really hard. But when they hit the current, he says, the fisherman just sits. He gave a nice example. He sits holding the rudder of the boat in one hand and smoking the tobacco hubble bubble with the other. And the boat sails along merrily. In spiritual life, he says you have to work hard at the beginning. But afterwards, you catch the current. It becomes much easier. Then it's a habit, more or less. Then you try to stop it also, you will not feel like stopping, because then you can't imagine your life without that. I remember we were novices once in our main monastery being trained, under training, newcomers. So this very senior monk, very devout, saintly person, he was telling us, trying to inspire us, he was telling us, imagine, suppose you are told today that you cannot think about Sri Ramakrishna today. It's not allowed. How terrible it would be, how upsetting it would be, how impossible it would be. We were thinking, for him. We are trying to get into the current. We are trying to maintain it with effort. For him, it's effortless. To stop it will take effort for him. So, he says, where were we? 20s. Yes. So, it is only those who want God realization, to at least a little bit, or at least they're sold on the idea, like we all are. As I say, that even if we don't intensely want it, we want to want it, and that's good enough. So we are in the group which moksha prapakam vidhi, those who are on the path of moksha. We are seeking liberation, enlightenment, God realization, whatever it is. And then the 24th verse, Sri Ramakrishna says, Aham hi sarvayajnanam, bhokta cha prabhurevacha, natu mam abhijananti, tattvenatascha I am the enjoyer and the Lord also of all sacrifices, but they do not know me in truth, therefore they fall down. So, I am actually, all worship ultimately comes to me. God alone is the power behind all deities. Even if you are worshipping performing a particular ritual for a fulfillment, I want money, or I want to win an election, or whatever it is. Even that worship also comes to me, Krishna says, to God. Again, I'm using the word God. In Vedanta, it means Saguna Brahman, Ishvara, Bhagavan. So it comes to me. However, such people do not know me in reality and do not want to know me in reality also. They want the world. If they want the world, they will get the world. So that's why he says, Tattvena ataschavantite. Tattva means, though they do not know me in reality, that I am Brahman, I am God, I am their inner self, and by attaining me, they attain to fulfillment. These things they don't know, or they don't believe, they are not interested in. They are interested in the world. They want particular things in the world. They want their life to be this way and not that way. And that's why they come to God. That's the only difference between the theist and the atheist. The atheist also is worldly, wants the world to be this way and not that way. And only thinks that there's only worldly ways of doing it. There's no such thing as a God. So pursues a worldly goal through worldly means. And the theist, the one who believes in God, but in a worldly sense, that person also wants the world to be this way and not that way, but also believes in addition to worldly ways, there is a power behind everything. There is an intelligence, a great force, the one which controls everything. And by the blessings of that power, I will attain my worldly goals. But all of them, they do not know me in truth. What is it to know me in truth? That I am the one creator, preserver, destroyer of the world. I am the goal of all. And attaining me, one goes beyond suffering. And also, in an Advaitic sense, I and you we are one reality. So this ultimate secret. They don't know this or they are not interested. So they fall from the truth. They fall from the truth means they continue in this cycle of birth and death. They continue in samsara. But if someone knows this truth, the commentator here, Sridhar Swami says, I'll read the Sanskrit and translate. But suppose someone is doing rituals, but knows behind all these rituals, behind all these worldliness, there is one God. And everything, my ultimate goal is God and not this world. The Sanskrit here is, ye.tu sarva devatasu māmeva ananyāścintayanto pashyanto yajante te.api. Whatever mode of your worship, if you know behind that say deity, behind all these different rituals, whatever your religion, wherever you're worshipping, if you know that behind it is this one divinity, who's behind this entire universe, who is the foundation of this universe and my innermost soul, ananyāścintayanto, the inner controller. Then, even through these rituals, the same rituals, you will attain to God and you will not come back into this samsara again. You will attain moksha. So it's not actually against ritualistic worship or even against Vedic rituals. But one must know what purpose it is for. We get what you want. In fact, it's very interesting that Houston Smith, who wrote that wonderful book, Religions of the World, he was inspired by, he was a disciple of Swami Sarvapriyananda, the founder of the Vedanta Society of St. Louis, where Swami Chaitananda is now. So he wrote this wonderful book, The Religions of the World. And the first chapter is Hinduism. And in that, he was saying that, he writes, I was trying to find one key which will unlock the whole of Hinduism. It's very difficult, because Hinduism is so diverse, so wide. I always say, whatever question you ask, in Hinduism the answer will be yes and no. Do the Hindus believe in God? Yes and no. There are Hindus like the Sankhyans who don't believe in God. Even the Vedic rituals, the Karma Kanda, in the Vedas itself, the Karma Kanda, the ritualistic portion of the Vedas, they believed in the power of the Vedic mantras. The individual deities were not as important as the Vedic mantra and the ritual. They believed if the mantras were chanted properly and the rituals were performed properly, the devatas, the deities, would give the results. The point was not God or the gods. It was the Vedic ritual itself or the mantras themselves. So there were Hindus who were not particularly God-oriented or theistic. Is God male in Hinduism? Yes and no. God is very much female and beyond gender, and both male and female, Ardhanarishvara. I was surprised to see the classic Ardhanarishvara image, it's Shiva and Parvati together in one image. And I found it, where, most surprising of places, in the Harvard Business School. On the lawn. There's a big sculpture of in Boston, the Harvard Business School on the lawn. It was some exhibition. So all these are there. So such tremendous diversities are there within Hinduism. How do you have one common theme in Hinduism? How do you explain Hinduism through one common? But he did it. Houston Smith does it. He says, one way of understanding Hinduism is that Hinduism tells us you can have what you want. I mean, I can see so many smiles. That's a nice thing. You can have what you want. But then he says, immediately the question arises, the great question arises, what is it that we want? And getting what you want, you will get what you want, but then you have to be ready for the consequences also. What is it that you want? And then he saw how nicely he progresses. He says, Hinduism then next says, what we want, that also will help you with. What you want are 4 things. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. You want pleasure, fun, happiness in this life. That's kama, fulfillment. From the grossest sensuous desires to the most subtle, artistic desires, fulfillment of all, refined. From the grossest desires to the most refined kind of sensuous pleasures. Yeah. All of it can be fulfilled. That is kama, that's the range of desire. Artha, not pleasure, not having a party. How many people? New York is so busy, the city that doesn't sleep. So are they all partying all the time? No, most people are working all the time. Yeah. So what are they pursuing? Not fun. They're pursuing artha, that is prosperity, money, wealth, success in this world. So that's the second thing. Notice, it says, Hinduism says this. Yes. Then third, dharma. Dharma is morality, ethics, an ethical and religious view of life. We want this. Do you really want this, or are we told to want it? No, what happens is, prosperity and pleasure in life, we instinctively want it. No, we don't have to be taught by religion to want it. Nobody has to be taught. You don't have to go to class to learn that, it's nice to have a party. No, it's instinctive. Pleasure seeking is instinctive. Then what does religion do? What can religion contribute here? Religion can show us, if this is what you want, what's the ethical, sustainable way to do it. Because if you do it without religion, without dharma, it's no longer ethical, it's no longer sustainable, even for one person. I've often quoted this, Somerset Maugham, if you chase pleasure, if you chase pleasure one-pointedly, then very soon you find nothing is pleasing anymore. If all you do is chasing pleasure, very soon you find nothing pleasing anymore. And time is going away. Very soon you find even the things which gave pleasure, our capacity for enjoyment is limited. Our tastes keep changing first. Satiety follows very fast. So all of this, pleasure has very serious consequences, pleasure seeking. So has money seeking, wealth chasing, dollar chasing. It has serious consequences for our moral health, for society, family, for the economy, for the world. All of it has serious consequences. And who knows it better than New York? We go through these booms and busts. So what religion can do, Houston Smith says, it puts a restriction around it. Morality, based on ethics. We come to realize that it's good to pursue what you want in life, but as a decent person, as a moral person, as an ethical person. And luckily, most people are like that. There are people who want just pleasure and success in the world, and they don't care as long as they're not caught by the IRS or the police. They can do anything. And there are lots of such people, but not in majority, thankfully. Otherwise, society would collapse. Notice, even people who are like that, they would want others to be not like them. They would want others to be law-abiding. Even the greatest of thieves wants others to be honest. Doesn't want to be stolen from himself. So ethics is introduced. So when Hinduism talks about kama, the pursuit of pleasure, artha, the pursuit of wealth, it's all within dharma. That's why we always say dharma, artha, kama. We never say kama, artha, dharma. Dharma first, and then the pursuit of your worldly goals. So religion has a role. There are rituals. God is there to help you to get what you want. There are all the temples, but that's all lower. Because that will never lead to freedom. That will never lead to peace, happiness, satisfaction. It will trap us in samsara, and we keep going round and round in samsara till we learn the lesson that by pursuit of worldly goals, nobody has ever found happiness in this world. So, the real goal of Hinduism, Houston Smith says, is moksha. That's what Hinduism actually wants to tell you, that there is a way. We don't instinctively want moksha. We don't want it. We instinctively reach out towards the world. Then religion teaches us what is the moral way, ethical way, sustainable way of reaching out towards the world. And then shows us that there's a limitation to that. It will never be deeply satisfying. Reach for moksha. And how to reach for moksha? Then he goes into Jnana Yoga, Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga. So it's a very beautifully developed chapter. Simple, elegant, and yet pretty authentic. So that was Houston Smith. Religions of the world. Then a further point he makes, 25th verse. Yanti deva brata devan, yanti deva brata devan, pitrin yanti pitri brataha, pitrin yanti pitri brataha, bhutani yanti bhutejya, bhutani yanti bhutejya, yanti madhyajinopi mam, yanti madhyajinopi mam. So, the worshippers of the gods go to the gods, the worshippers of the mains go to the mains, the worshippers of the spirits go to the spirits, and my worshippers too come to me. Basically, this is the idea that there are those who do ritualistic action, and they, after death, they will go to the worlds where their forefathers are. Pitriloka, it's called Pitriloka. You'll lead a moral life, religious life. You go to the world of the forefathers, stay there until your karma credit is exhausted, and you come back into this world. Those who lead a higher religious life, devotion, worship, but the goal is still the world. Then you go to a higher plane, Devaloka. And they too, if there is God realization is not the goal, they will again come back to this world. But he says, those who worship me, God, the capital G, Ishvara, Bhagavan, Krishna, they will attain to me, which means, what's the difference? All the others, they will still be in samsara. A better kind of samsara. If you are a ritualistic, Vedic ritualist, if you are a Vedic upasaka, meditator, or, basically you are a moral person, then your samsara will be a little better than others. Still samsara, and still bound to be exhausted and come back to this world. Whereas, those who worship God in devotion, they will attain moksha. In this life or the next, definitely moksha is guaranteed for you. And that's what Krishna is teaching here. Next, there are several verses after this, which are very beautiful. Shows you how to worship God through things, objects, by giving everything to God. How to worship God through actions, by doing everything for God. And then, after giving everything and after doing everything, you offer the results of that. Because as you know, Hindus are very big on karma and results of karma. I do this, and what is the result of that? Well, you offer all the results to God also. I don't want anything from, like personal gain or anything. I don't want anything except God. So, the mother, she was in the bank of the Ganga. Somebody was there, either a sadhu or a beggar was sitting there, and she had some fruits in her hand. She gave it to that man. She said, so my child, take these fruits, and the fruits of this giving also I give unto you. I don't want anything back from it. Vivekananda says, give and do not look back. Whosoever looks back, their ocean dwindles to a drop. So, that is giving up the results of my giving, whether it's objects or action. That will be talked about. And then the extreme power, the speed with which spirituality, devotion to God transforms a person, that will be talked about. It is even the worst of sinners should be considered a sadhu the moment that person develops devotion for God. Because why? Why would that be so? Because his will be transformed very fast into a saintly person. So the great transformative power of spirituality also will be spoken about. So a series of very beautiful verses is coming. All right, I'll have to wrap up. Toronto awaits. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Rupanamastu.